Hello guys, welcome to today's video. Today I just wanted to show you a few of the little details or things I do to make this mitered square blanket. Just my tips and tricks for my extra stuff. As you can see, I am about to pick up the next square stitches, and as always, I just count it up real quick. Part of that has to do with like I've said before, I pick up the stitches in between the ridges, so that's not really the issue. Like, yes, I am double checking all my ridges are there, but part of this has to do with, like, I want to make sure that stitch 1 that's picked up is really lined up with the corners, with the corner, and then that the last stitch 36 is also lined up with the corner. So that's a little bit of why I'm doing it. It's just to make sure that the first and the last stitches are exactly where I want them to be. And then, yes, I do use a crochet hook to help start the first stitch because it is always really tight. I don't know what's with that stitch. Like, I guess you're just dealing with all the extra, like, ends and stuff. Like, it's the ending. I don't know. Anyway. So it's always really tight, so I utilize the crochet hook. I think I've said this in past videos that, like, having that in your tools of uses, you know, to use for projects really is nice. Just have one nice little, if you're a knitter and you don't crochet at all, just to have one crochet hook in your bag really can be helpful for those little moments that you just need something to hook instead of the needles that just don't have that ability. So I will be working my way across the square, and then I'll be, and again, counting, like I always tell you, and then you add in the stitch marker, and then I'll be working up the side of the other square. And I wanted to give you guys a close-up view of that space I keep talking about of where I pick up. And I pick up, so it's right here on the edge. There's 2 little pieces of yarn. I don't know what you want to call that. Yeah, 2 pieces of yarn. And that's literally, I put it underneath the gap of those 2 pieces of yarn, stick my needle under, and just pick up a stitch. It is honestly really easy. So there we go. Go underneath both things of yarn, loop it around, and pick up your stitch. And I do that for all my stitches for this blanket, and I really like how tidy it makes it look. I feel like when you're working on such a simple project, the significance of just making sure everything's lined up, the little details of things being lined up, is just so significantly important. So that's all the stitches picked up. 36 there, stitch marker, and then 36 more. This is what the back side of what the picked up stitches look like. So if you were wondering, here's a good look at it. And it's not too tight. You don't want to make the stitches too tight, or else it will just not lay properly. And you also don't want it too loose because you don't want a lot of gaping holes. So I'm going to knit. I'm going to do row 1, which I told you guys last time. It's just a knit row, and that's considered the wrong side of the blanket. And literally, you just knit it. I think every time I do this, I'm like, yeah, you just knit it. It's really just that simple. You knit it across, I slip the first stitch, and then I knit through the back loop of the last stitch. And then the other thing I was going to show you is the method that I weave in one of my yarn ends just to save me time later. And that method is called the Weave and Steven method. And I still haven't taken the time to figure out if, like, there's an actual official, like, proper name for it. It's called the Weave and Steven method because of the designer Stephen West, who is a fabulous designer. If you've never looked into his stuff, it's fun. Like, I actually haven't knitted any of his patterns, but just looking at his patterns and just how colorful and creative they are, definitely go check him out. And anyway, he's very into just, you know, weaving those ends, get it done with, and yeah, it works. Like, I know it's not, like, I'm not even sure if this is a proper way of weaving an end. Maybe it is. It almost feels like the cheating method. whatever, it works. And I don't know if I would do this on just any project. Like, I'm making this blanket for me, so I know how I'm going to treat it. And that will probably give me an idea of like, okay, weaving it in this way, it really stays in place. I think I'm still nervous that it could accidentally get caught and pulled out, but I'm not really sure how that, I mean, because look at it here in a fully knitted section, like has squares all around it. I'm not actually sure how it'd get pulled out, but I'm still a little nervous to be like, yes, do this on all the projects. Plus, also, I think with certain projects, there's different ways of the art of weaving in your ends is a thing. So that's why there's so many different methods of doing it. But for a quick method, this one works really, really, really well. And that's what the corner looks like. I feel like initially it looks looser, but that's why I leave one tail available. So that way, if it is loose later on, I can close in that gap. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you guys. Bye.